Hello everybody, and welcome to CoHO BC's speaker series tonight with Wilmer Lau of Tomo Spaces, talking about designing for community, affordability, and real life. I'm Noam Dolgan, and we're delighted to have such a great turnout here tonight. Before we get started, it is of course important that we acknowledge where we live and where we work, and where we're talking about land and housing is on the ancestral and unceded territories of a whole lot of nations, including the Esquimalt and Songhees, the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh, and many others across the province. And we're delighted to be able to share in this land and call it our home as well. So what is CoHO BC? What is this group that has brought us here today? CoHO BC is an initiative to promote and support co-ownership as a viable housing option here in British Columbia. Someone's saying they can't hear me. That might be your volume. Anyone else having trouble hearing me? Can I get a yes if people are hearing me? Okay, so if you're not hearing, you may have to try calling back in.
I'm hearing you, Noam.
Wonderful, thank you. All right, thank you, everybody. So again, what is CoHO BC? CoHO BC is an initiative to promote co-ownership as a viable housing option in British Columbia and across the region, to provide resources and official support to assist groups going through the co-ownership process, to assist in the creation of co-ownership groups through a dating pool, meeting other like-minded individuals who might want to share housing, and to facilitate the resale of the shared property and interest to other potential partners. So who we are is a collection of professionals, realtors like myself, lawyers, builders, financial solutions, architects like Wilmer, mediators, all people with experience in collective housing, co-ownership, and thinking about the specifics of what is needed to create a home that is a space for a collectivity, for community, for sustainability, and is hopefully affordable to some degree. So don't reinvent the wheel. Use our team of experts who understand and think this way. So who am I? I mentioned that I'm a realtor. I'm a realtor who specializes in what I call sustainable real estate services. So co-ownership, green homes, and just general real homes for real people and outside the box real estate thinking. Before I got into real estate, my background was in environmental education and community engagement. So when I look at real estate, I really do look at it as the number one choice we make to build community, to build a sustainable lifestyle choice, and to build some equity and value in our life. So I'm going to do a quick introduction to what is co-ownership, and then we'll move on to Wilmer's presentation. Real estate co-ownership is not a new phenomenon. It's been going on for years, if not centuries, in a variety of forms. Before 1966, there was no Strata Act, so you couldn't own separate apartments or half a duplex. So people co-owned buildings together. Even after that came into effect, people created ownership co-ops, more recently co-housing projects. And other historic examples include investment co-ownership, intergenerational families, timeshare and vacation properties. And what CoHO BC really specializes though in is the co-ownership of single family homes or small complexes between 2, 3, 5 individuals to try to create a small scale community and small scale affordability options. Why would you co-own? There are many advantages to co-ownership. The biggest ones we will talk about are building community and mutual support systems, getting more for your money, living in otherwise unavailable locations like quote unquote single family neighborhoods, and know your neighbors before you buy. Who are we seeing interested in co-ownership? Anyone can be interested in this, but there are a lot of groups we're seeing, particularly intergenerational families, young families partnering up, first-time home buyers or condo buyers trying to get into the market, downsizers and older adults, people who specifically want to live collectively, investors, and really anyone who realizes that the price of real estate is insane and can think outside the box to create a better housing situation. How much to share really is up to you. We see co-ownership in two major forms where there is shared land and ownership, but everyone has a private suite with a private kitchen and bathroom, etc. And we see collective homes with shared living space. Even within both those models, there are questions of how much you share. What do you do with certain collective spaces, laundry, sheds, yards, and how about collective stuff, cars, tools, even a hot tub maybe. The advantages of this type of ownership situation is your neighbors, you have community and support, you save money, you get more space, you share resources, higher quality of housing not otherwise available, financial synergy, you can team up to get more than you could otherwise. And really it's a triple bottom line, sustainable purchase. It's socially, fiscally, and environmentally responsible. And I keep coming back to that. There are challenges, and I won't talk about that in too many details, but there are challenges around financing. You have to work together. You have to plan for an exit strategy. You have to plan for ongoing disagreements, and you have to find the right partner, which is why CoHO is here, because a well thought through partnership agreement and a deliberative process protects you and your partner and helps it and makes you make the right and strong decision. And there's a lot more information about this on our website. So I encourage you to go to our website and learn more about co-ownership, to come to one of our upcoming events. If you haven't been to our What is Co-ownership info session, our next one is on May 26th. But to get more involved, watch the videos and learn a lot more about it. That's just a very quick introduction to who we are at CoHO and what brings us here together today. Much more interesting at the moment, I'd like to introduce you all to Wilmer Lau. And welcome, Wilmer. Thank you so much for being here today. And I'm going to ask you to take over at this point and share your screen. For people on the line, there will be a chance for questions. You can either hold them to the end and ask them verbally, or you can throw them in the chat and we will get to them at a certain point as we go. So thank you all again for joining us and for being part of the CoHO community. And thank you, Wilmer, for sharing your expertise in designing for community, designing for affordability, and designing for real people trying to live in real spaces that make their heart and their life sing. Welcome. We need to unmute you, Wilmer. You're still muted. Your screen is sharing, but you're still muted.
Hi.
There we go.
Hi, everyone. Noam, how did we meet? We met, I contacted you, you contacted me, or was it Eric? It's been so long.
It's so long. It's a small community of those of us who are really trying to think about how to build more for this. And it was, I don't remember how we connected, but it was an obvious connection with the work you're doing. So thank you for being involved and for coming out to a few events over the years and for sharing your expertise.
And just for the time check, how much does this go to around, right now it's 7:09. Should we go to around 7:40? Would that be something reasonable?
Yeah, give yourself half an hour to 45 minutes, and then we will take some questions. And I promise everyone will be out of here between 8:15 and 8:30 at the absolute latest.
Awesome.
And if folks have to leave early, it's actually easier now in the Zoom world. You don't have to walk across the stage to do it, so we won't take it personal.
Great. So I'll try to be short, brief, and not too boring. All right, everyone. My name is Wilmer Lau. Just I'll give you a tidbit about me. I was born in Venezuela. I grew up in Vancouver, Canada, and I'm Chinese. So my full name is Wilmer Alberto Lau, which is it's a proud quirk that I have. I don't speak Spanish. My dad speaks Spanish, but I do not. I've been here for too long. And I am from Tomo, and T-O-M-O. It's not a Japanese word. It's a combination of two words, together more. And that's how we formed this company. We are a real estate development company. So far, we've been doing ground up development, which is to build from scratch. So we believe in social spaces. We believe in environmentalism. We believe in trying to do our best to increase the super challenging problems with affordability in the Lower Mainland. I just want to shout out to Eric Lai. He's my colleague. He's also on the line. And another shout out, a familiar face with Kathy Sayers, who's been involved with one of our projects. So hi, Kathy. Eric and Kathy, can you say something? I guess not. Are they muted?
No. Okay.
Okay. Well, let's move on.
Hi, Wilmer. It's Kathy. I am here.
It's nice to see a friendly face. Okay. So the Tomo concept. Oh, geez. Sorry about that, guys. Okay, I'll do it this way. Okay, so we started out this company and asking the question, how in this, as cities densify, meaning more and more people live together in cities and socialize and work in the city, there's the families are changing, the family dynamics are changing. And our question is, how does housing change for people for this changing environment that we live in? And it's not just a Vancouver problem. It's every city around the world is growing bigger and bigger, and the urban areas are going smaller and smaller. That has changed somewhat with COVID, but we still believe on the long-term trends. People do still want to be connected to their friends and family close together. So there's going to be this ongoing question going on. The typical strategy is as cities become more closely packed together, you see apartments becoming smaller and smaller together. Where we used to have single family homes, now we have duplexes, and now we have condo buildings, and then where we had larger 800 square foot studios, now they're becoming 400 square foot studios. So we're trying to figure out a way to offer some of the benefits of living close together without feeling like you're being compressed. So we started out, we are trying to figure out how to densify slowly. So if you can everyone see my mouse here? Is that visible? My mouse on the computer screen?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so this is a very famous picture of a single family home and kind of like a higher density mid-rise, and something in between, like duplexes, fourplexes, 3-story small apartment buildings. That's something called a missing middle. And we thought a lot of people did not want to live in tall condo buildings, although that's a lot of people do like them. There's nothing wrong with them, but there was a desire to find out to have something in between where I cannot afford to buy a single family home, or I do not want to live in a single family home, but I want to live closer to my neighbors, but then the condo buildings seems a little bit too tight. So this missing middle, missing meaning there's not a lot of these options around, affords being able to be a little bit connected to your neighbor while also having a lot of ground-oriented amenities. So this was a study that we did where we compared the single family zoning in Vancouver to RM9, which is a zoning that provides this kind of density. And this is one of our projects, Tomo House. That's about this size right here. And Kathy was just on the line, and she's been so gracious as to be on this project journey with us. She's going to be living in the future Tomo House, which I'll describe in a second. So Tomo House, we're trying to link these three concepts together: affordability, sociability, and sustainability. We think that there's a unique chemistry with combining all three elements and leading to just a happier residence. So when things are affordable, you have your mood is better, you're more sociable, and if everyone feels that they're living in a healthy, low eco footprint environment, I think it's just it's a very a nice combination of living. I'll get more into the affordability in a bit. I'm going to skip to this project. This is Tomo House. This is one of our projects that we're working on. So I'm going to be talking about two projects that we have very briefly, and I'm going to be also talking about a competition that we entered into that talks about what if we had no restrictions and we could build housing however which way we wanted without too many government rules. So this Tomo House is on Main Street and Ontario Place, which is near Main and 41st Avenue. This is where we're building a co-housing community here. So if you know what can I get a show of hands who doesn't know what a co-housing community is? Because it does. I guess I'm not getting a lot of responses here. Okay. A co-housing community is this. These are strata lots right here. So imagine just like an apartment building. You own these units here. This is a common house whereby all of these people within this who live in a co-housing community can access a very large kitchen, and amenity space, and they have storage, and they also have a courtyard. So this is the actual design of it. People can gather in the courtyard. They can have garden spaces here. You see people gathering, and the co-housing community gets together and have large potlucks, large dinners, large parties in the courtyard and in this larger common house. On top of that, when I was describing affordability, 3 of these units, we had this was a part of a rezoning project. 3 of these units would be sold for approximately 35% below market, and it's permanently affordable units that unfortunately it's sold right now. They're all 3. All 3 have been spoken for. But as part of this rezoning project, the city granted us density, and we provided 3 units that we promised would be affordable in perpetuity. On top of that, this development is also a passive house. So the co-housers who live here, they will be able to say, I know my neighbors. I celebrate birthday parties with them. I take care of their kids, or their kids take care of me. And the building that I live in is super green, super low energy, and I barely have to spend any money on my utility bills because all the materials are very of high quality. The air is super fresh, and I'm feeling comfortable all year round in this building. So that's the combination of sociability, sustainability, and affordability here. Okay. I just want to describe a little bit about the affordability here. This was a very unique situation where the the three affordable units right here were sold below 35% below market. However, over time, over time, lots of market units become more and more expensive, and then they become more and more unaffordable. These three units that we're talking about as affordable units have a special covenant tied to them, a special promise that says these units will rise according to inflation, and the prices are restricted. And so when one person wants to sell, the new owner will buy at a discounted rate. So we wanted to encourage this type a new housing format, and with the city, we developed this program to create these affordable units. Okay, so that's Tomo House. That's Tomo House. We're also currently developing sorry about that. That was a development where it was done on 2 lots. So this is a single family lot and a single family lot, and we purchased the 2 lots together, and we created this 12 unit development. We also have a single family lot right now, and this is actually how Norm and I connected together. We had a single family lot, and we wanted to figure out a way to be able to create in a single family lot, putting 3 families together. So if you're all familiar with a single family lot, oftentimes you can build a main house, and you can also build a laneway house. Noam and I were working together and seeing how we can create a unit up front, a unit in the back, and a unit in this back unit, and also a unit on the lane here to allow 3 families to live together on one lot. This is, mind you, this is still very possible on a single family lot to put 3 families in there, but we wanted to figure out a way to do this through co-ownership, or even something called an equity co-op. It's a bit challenging from a numbers perspective to create them, but it's something that we can definitely consider in the future. Just not our project right now is working on a duplex, but this is something that's going to be in our toolkits moving forward. So now I've discussed two of our projects. I want to move on to something that we were pretty excited to participate in, and it was called the Urban Area Missing Middle Competition. And I wanted to show you that our presentation, we came in 2nd place in this competition. And what it was the City of Vancouver commissioned this competition to say, hey guys, architects, developers, designers, urban designers, what if we removed all the rules of zoning, and if we gave you full design flexibility, how would you redesign your cities, or how do you redesign your single family home neighborhoods to make it more sociable and affordable? So, and I'm going to be showing you our presentation on this. All right. So these are some of our participants, and we were tasked to redesign an area in Port Coquitlam. Oh, what happened there? Oh, there you go. Okay, so our submission really looked at an entire block, and we said, if we can redesign how blocks are designed, we can see 3 options here. We can see a corner type of building right here. We can see a single family lot building right here, and we can see a dual lot configuration. So this would be a dual lot corner. We can do a dual lot interior right here, and we can do a single lot right here. And what is the point of redesigning this? It's to redesign, is to say, how would we encourage affordability, but maintain a healthy living, sociable lifestyle within the cities and make it walkable and have great outdoor spaces that everyone can enjoy. So we call this a people's playbook, and the playbook consists of these three types of housing that can be formed. Okay. We wanted to encourage more people to not only become, we wanted to allow current families who own their own homes to also create their own neighborhoods and change their neighborhoods and evolve their neighborhoods into which way they wanted to. So, for example, like if you were to own your own single family home, but you're aging in place, how could we encourage you to stay in the neighborhood, but make it so that more people can move in? So here's some of the tactics. This is going to get a little bit technical, but I promise I'll keep it very light and easy. So allow people to build bigger buildings. But then when you allow them to build bigger buildings, also encourage them to build the right type of buildings. Parking is very expensive, so we were thinking of changing the parking rules. This is reducing the setbacks, meaning that the front yards might get smaller. In exchange, the front yards get smaller, but then you get a bigger backyard. Make the lanes feel more spacious and more enjoyable. Because right now some of our back lanes are very car friendly, but not people friendly. And this one's very important. We called it a people's playbook because we said, okay, why don't we can create preset designs, and you can say, pick one, pick two, or pick three, and you can get approvals really quickly, and then you can create the housing very affordably, quickly without a lot of difficulties. Okay, so the play one, this is, imagine, so we have three playbooks, remember? So you have a single family home, and you have if you own property right now, and you're a single person and you're aging, you want to live in the property for a long time, but yet you don't mind having some neighbors around. We proposed to go from, let's say, FSR, which is a measure of how big of a building you can create. You double the size of the buildings that you create. You triple the number of families that can move in. The parking triples as well on the property. And so what we're trying to allow is a property owner to increase their property value, to give them a little bit of a profit to create some of these extra housing, and then in exchange, now this is the trick. When you do that, you would sell off a portion of this property to a nonprofit. We called it a community land trust. So as you increase the density of the property, which means you're allowed to build a bigger building, the city recognizes that you're making some money off of this. You would then be incentivized to sell that to community land trust, and they build this house for affordable housing. And so the landowner would profit from this, and then they would also sell a portion of the profit to the community land trust. Okay, so in play 2, which is 2 families, these are 2 single lots, they get together, they collaborate, and it's a very similar playbook. You get bigger lots, you get a bigger building, and you have more families moving in, a little bit more parking, and again, this back or maybe the front could be sold to a community land trust, and that would the community land trust would manage this housing. It would be provided as affordable housing. It could be a rental building. It could be the affordable home ownership type of building. It could be another affordable home ownership unit, and there's this exchange of money and land titles, and this is how we would create it. So what was really important for us was this mid-yard. This mid-yard would allow for everyone to enjoy a shared social space. It would allow for all the families to help each other and collaborate. And the corner lot is a very similar situation where even more people are allowed. And so if you can imagine here, this is a corner a double lot, and people can enter in through here, enter into this courtyard and socialize right here. And again, it would be very similar where in exchange for giving this extra density, people, the landowners would sell off for money to a community land trust that would manage this building for affordable housing. So a portion of the housing would be for regular strata lot owners or market units, and a portion of it would be affordable housing. So we're mixing the affordable housing people with the regular market units. And so that was our proposal. And in the end, if we can do it fast enough, we would have a whole bunch of, what's possible is that right here, you can have a community that might be able to share their backyards if they were willing to break down the fence and socialize together, right, through that space. That concludes my presentation on what Tomo represents. If you'd like, this is my contact information. So Tomo wants to continue to build this type of housing. We've done a lot of research on affordable housing, and we want to keep doing that. And if there's any questions, and if you want to contact us in the future, feel free to through this email address. But that pretty much concludes my presentation. And if I wanted to see if anyone wanted to ask any questions about what we do.
Thank you very much, Wilmer. Great presentation. Sounds like you're doing some great work and some great theoretical visioning of the future. So yes, if people will want to share any questions they have or any comments, please do so. You can unmute yourself and or write it in the text, and Wilmer will see it himself. I guess I'll start with a question or statement around affordability. I see you defined the affordability the city defined for you, I guess, or you worked in combination with them on the Tomo House project to be 35% below current market, and then tied to inflation going forward and not necessarily tied to the market. I'm assuming there's also talk about potentially making some of these rentals. Had you guys given thought to what form of affordability, or was that kind of left to the, the world and the economics to figure out over time?
Is the question that you're asking for, like, if given a choice, would we rather build rental units or affordable home ownership units? Is that the question?
I guess, well, that's the question. The question is, yeah, did you figure out those or any other models for when you say affordable built units within the building? Were there any particular models that you were advocating or that you had created, or that's you just talked theoretically that you could create added value by added density and then exchange it for some sort of discount?
So this model is real. It's not theoretical at all. So we talked to the city and we discussed so many different options. We discussed rental. We discussed this option. Should we tie it to inflation? Should we tie it to income rising? We discussed if there's a way to share the equity. In fact, multiple models, but we really just ended up saying 3 units that were 35% below market, and they will increase with consumer price inflation. So that's where we ended up.
And there is a question about that, and this may be a little bit too in the legal weeds, but can you describe how the covenant works? And the question is, who pays the 35%? I guess the 35% is just paid for by the overall development cost of the project and everyone else in the building, and the added density, which allows you to just sell off a little more.
Yeah. So for sure, I understand what you're saying. So now this goes into the weeds a little bit. As the city says, we are not allowed to build a bigger building, then there's a certain value that they're granting us because we're able to increase our the value of the entire land increases. So if the value of the entire land increases because I'm allowed to build a bigger building, then the city says, okay, I want to capture a portion of that value. So we can either pay them money, pay them tax, or we can say, well, the value of that extra value that we've captured, we're going to put it back into the units. So instead of giving you a tax, I'm going to reduce my prices. And that's how the affordability is created. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. And we'll move on past this question in a bit, but there's another one on it. But how is the covenant structured? Just out of interest sake, and again, Tamara asked that question as well. How is the covenant structured, and what size are the units in the urban village Tomo house that were at below market? Were they 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, family units? How was that figured out?
Yes, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom. That's the answer.
One of each.
One of each. They were family units, anywhere ranging from 500 square foot to 1,000 square foot. And they all were equal stature to everyone else. They all were part of the CoHO community. They all can socialize within this big kitchen area. They all have backyard access, that type of stuff. And the requirements were that your income had to be below a certain threshold. You had to live in Vancouver. You had to prove that you didn't have to work in Vancouver, but you had to prove that you lived in that you previously lived in Vancouver. I think that was the rule, and you had to show that you had a certain family size. So you couldn't be a single person buying a 3 bedroom, and you couldn't be 2 people buying a 3 bedroom. So those are very simple restrictions because the city wanted to ensure that people of a certain income level can buy at a certain this housing. And the exchange was that this was for housing only. And if you wanted to profit from price house escalation, you couldn't do it because this would be capped at a very low rate. So the covenant says that the prices will be capped. That's really what the covenant says.
All right, we have a bunch of questions that have come in here, so we'll try to knock a few out. First one here is, can you talk about financing for individual owners? Now, again, you referenced these co-housing projects are actually strata lots. So unlike a co-ownership project, they can be financed individually. And as I understand it, this project, because Tomo has been involved from the beginning, has been easier for end buyers to finance because they haven't needed to put up necessarily as much money or as much risk in the development process. So do you want to talk a little bit about the development of our urban village, Tomo House, and financing of the project and of the end product?
Oh, it's very simple. We financed it, and then people like Kathy are purchasing it from us. So we do the heavy lifting of real estate development. We go through the city process. We negotiate with the city. But meanwhile, while we're talking to the city, we're also talking to our urban village and seeing what their particular needs are. Does that sum it up, Kathy?
Yeah, I want to say something that Wilmer won't say because he's a guy that doesn't want to toot his own horn here, but Tomo actually worked shoulder to shoulder with us on this. We've been partners in this, and they took the financial part of it, and we agreed to get first rights on filling it up. And very early on, they were visionary and that they were the instigators of getting affordable units. And they said to us, you want to try to have all of the units, the 12 units in the building, be a bit lower in price, or do you want to make a real difference to 3 families? And because we're co-housing, we voted to make a real difference to 3 families. So that gives you a sense of the cooperation that's required when you're working with a developer in partnership to create something. And Tomo has always had their eye on doing something that's created something unique and that hadn't been there before. And they initiated most of these things.
And this is what you're referring to as co-housing lights, right? Not because the end product is going to be any less co-housing than anything else, but because you've been able to de-risk and de-stress the development of the new community by partnering with Tomo?
Yeah, this is not the way any other community in North America has been built or been planned, I should say. Because our process in Vancouver is so hard with the city, or with regulations, it's taken us a long time to do this. But yeah, basically, yes, we're not taking financial risk. We're in partnership to create something unique, and they're trusting us to fill the place, and we're trusting them to build us a good property.
That's fantastic. And this is certainly what CoHO is all about, right? Is to know that there are communities of people out there, experts and professionals really trying to make better housing for more people and build these connections and these bridges so that these things can actually happen instead of it being this long pipe dream and beyond many of our ability to accomplish. That being said, some people have accomplished some wonderful co-housing projects on their own, but it's very hard to do. So this partnership with a developer, I think, is a model that can be really nicely replicated. And to that, there's a question here about other communities in BC that allow this kind of development. Do you know which municipalities are more open? I mean, there are co-housing communities across Metro Vancouver. Do you know areas that are more open to thinking creatively and thinking about collectivity and affordability and sustainability in their housing?
I think generally the cities are receptive. Like I think When we presented our project to any of the counselors, they're very receptive. Now, if the question is, um, they have supportive policies behind it. I think some cities are probably have more supportive policies. In Vancouver, it's definitely, I think, of all the municipalities, it's the most complex. I think it's a matter of complexity. So when in Vancouver, there are so many, like it's the mecca of BC. I think I can easily say that. There's most eyes on it, and so there's a most number of rules associated with it. So if you were to propose something like this in New Westminster or maybe Delta, I think the getting to this end product would be faster. But Vancouver was a challenging beast in itself because there's so many different departments and so many rules and so many different types of buildings. So like a West Bank luxury tower is being built in downtown, and the city needs to be able to effectively deal with that luxury tower. But then when it come across an affordability people, the staff needs to be able to kind of turn their internal rules set to adapt to us as well as adapt to like that different type of housing. So they just have a lot more complexity within the municipality and does a lot more bureaucracy. I think they would readily admit that too.
Yeah, and I think, and from my experience, other cities, municipalities, and regions may have less bureaucracy, but they also may be less open to creative solutions so as to solve this kind of social housing and affordable housing problem. So Vancouver may have the bureaucracy, but it also has the will. And there are other municipalities. North Vancouver is opening a second co-housing project right now, and Langley's opening a second one, and there certainly are others. But it comes down to some of the cultures of city halls around the region to see how much they're willing to bend their zoning to create, better housing that's outside the box.
The absolute rewarding part of this project was to say when we talk to the city, we're pointing to OUV and saying we're not doing this in isolation. OUV can speak as well, and they've met some of the counselors and they've voiced their opinion. So it was really a big team of people, and we as developers, one member of the team, pitching this to the counselors. So I imagine if we did this in another smaller city, the counselors and city staff are not just discussing it with a developer, but they're discussing this project with the future voters, which matter a lot.
So we still have a few more questions to get to here, and we'll keep going. I just want to take a moment, because as people start to leave at their own time, to direct people for more resources about co-ownership or about the work of Tomo to our various websites, and to feel encouraged to reach out to myself or to Wilmer for more information about any of these projects. And I've got up here Wilmer's email address, the Our Urban Village. Kathy, I don't know if you want to speak to this, but I believe you're still looking for 2 or 3 more families to join this project. And if you want to take a moment to talk about that, I'm happy to let you do that. And I just want to remind everybody about our upcoming events at CoHO. Our next event is April 24th called Let's Make a Co-Home, an online social. So these co-housing communities are fantastic, but they involve larger communities and larger development timelines often. If you are looking for 1 or 2 other partners to make a small scale co-ownership, co-home situation go on an existing property or a small development site, this is a chance to do that. We have other speakers coming up, like Lisa Dixon, a member of the Our Little Mountain, co-housing community, which is another one that's just opening its doors now, right around the corner from our urban village, Tomo House. And she's also a mortgage broker who's talking about financing, to the question we heard earlier. We have our info session on May 26th, a panel of people, and much more. We have go to our website. There's stuff scheduled all the way into July and August. So please do come back. You've all been added to our email list. We hope you'll stay involved. If you want to unsubscribe, we won't take it personally. And do reach out to us for more personal situation. Back to a few of the questions that are still on the table. There was one: do you foresee building more such models in the neighborhood near our urban village? As I said, there is the Little Mountain co-housing project that's opening up just opened up right there. It's also not far from the Vancouver's first co-housing community at 33rd and Victoria. This seems to be the community for co-housing at the moment in Vancouver. Are you guys working on another project? Do you have visions for what's next?
Oh yeah, that's a good question. So right now we're just about to commence construction. It's been a long road right now, so we're working on that duplex project, and also this co-housing project. There's also a bigger project in the works right now. But once I would say, midway through construction of this project, if everything goes smoothly, then we're definitely going to look at other opportunities. It's something that's really nice to be able to point at and say, look, this is becoming very real for us, and we can look forward to the next project. At this point in time, my eyes are fully focused on construction and getting to this next stage. But I would say in about maybe 8 months time, I'm gonna start looking at future spaces like this. Yeah, so the answer is yes, just not now.
So someone's asking for more information about the 3-unit on single lots. So this is, I guess, the co-ownership model. I mean, eventually, I just want to say, and if you come to my co-ownership info session, you hear me talk about this, but co-ownership is a hack, right? It's a chance to get more families and more affordability in by using examples of single family zoning that's currently allowed. Ideally, in the long run, all this stuff could be stratified to allow for simplicity and financing and other things. But under current zoning, you and I have talked a lot about how you can build for 3 families on one lot. I like to think about it usually as a 2-story kind of traditional larger home, 800 square foot, 3-bedroom, 3-bath home with a garden suite down below, 1,000 square foot garden suite, and then a 700 square foot laneway house in the back. And so you can have, a small, 3 different units at 3 different sizes, 3 different price points in the complex. You gave an example that instead of having up and down, it was front to back. Can you talk a little bit about your vision for what you can build under current zoning, or even not under current zoning, but on a single family lot? Let's start with current zoning for now, because as opposed to those theoretical things, what you could do on a single family lot to really to create community and housing.
Yeah, okay, so let's separate the 2 things, right? So what can you build versus how do you actually own or rent it? So they're actually 2 very separate things. So like you can live in I can right now in today's zoning in the city of Vancouver, and I can't speak to other municipalities, but I know city of Vancouver very well. You could build a unit here, and a laneway house. You can do that. The problem is that there has to be one owner of this, and that's they call this a secondary suite. They call this a laneway house, but you can't individually sell these out. And so people like Noam are saying, well, what if I could sell them? What if I could have 2 or 3 families, separate families, own this lot? And that's really the question. And there's multiple ways of doing it, and co-ownership is a very popular, or it's growing in popularity, and Noam's the leader in that regard. But there might be other ways to do this. So that's really the question. So to answer your question, what is doable on a single family lot? This is doable. This is like the maximum number of families that you can put on a single family lot. Now the question of how do you actually own how do three families combine collectively together to own it? They can do it under corporation. They could do it under co-ownership.
Yeah, if that's where you come to my other sessions, or that's where you call me up, I'll help you get connected with the right lawyers and the right people for that. The other model that we do see for this is the restoration of heritage buildings and the construction of infill. I don't know if Tomo's had any experience with this, but I don't want to speak to it, but we do see the ability to take a 3,000 square foot older home, restore it to get a heritage designation on it, restore it, get bonus from the city, build infill in the back, and share on that. Have you guys looked at all about what you can do instead of building new in restoration work?
Yeah, that model is called something called character retention. And so if you have an older home that kind of looks like it's a character home, then the city grants you extra density and grants you extra density and allows you to build 3 separate strata units. So imagine unit 1, 2, 3 are really just strata lots, and they have strata titles to them. And the city allows you to do that as well. But the catch is that it has to be considered a character building, which means that it has to look old. And it's a little controversial because it's from a green perspective, you're really just building a new building and you're keeping a front face to it. So that's possible too on the single family lot.
So we have a question or comment here from Tamara. What Tomo's doing is amazing, but seems less profitable to you as a developer. There's a lot more money and complexity involved over developing, say, a standard condo. Are you doing this out of passion, or do you actually see a better business model for you going this route?
I'm speaking for myself. We have limited time on this earth. We choose how we want to spend it and how we want to contribute to society. I want to make money as well. Maximizing money is one way of doing it, but also achieving other things besides just money is also very important.
Wonderful. Yeah, and I think that's the goal here, is to create a niche, right, for ourselves, to say we can do both. We can create better housing for the end user. We can create a business model for ourselves that makes us stand out as the person who thinks differently and thinks about housing in a more sustainable, more community-oriented manner. And everyone wins. And I'm delighted to meet so many partners who are doing this. And again, that's how we came together as CoHO, because there were so many folks looking to create better housing that was just more collaborative and more community oriented. And Wilmer, we're delighted to have you today and to have your expertise. And I do encourage people to follow up with Wilmer, asking questions, to follow up with Kathy in the Our Urban Village community. Kathy, if you're still with us, did you want to say something about that? I don't think I actually gave you the chance. I moved on. And again, just thanking everyone for being here today. Yes, Kathy, go for it.
Yes, we do have 4 units and a studio, a 2-bedroom, and 2 large 3-bedrooms. One's a townhouse and one's a regular 3-bedroom. So if you're interested, look us up, Our Urban Village, and we'll be happy to talk to you.
Wonderful, thank you.
And Kathy's one of the warmest hearted soul people I've met in a long time.
Thank you, Wilmer. We definitely have a fan club going here, I gotta say.
Your fan club? I'm part of that fan club.
No, I was saying we're fans of yours, you're fans of us. It's almost a bit much.
Okay.
There you go.
So again, thank you everybody for coming. If you have any questions about any of this stuff, follow up. If you have questions about real estate broadly, I'm a realtor. I move between the co-housing and the traditional and the co-ownership. So I'm here to answer your questions and help you find the right fit that for you. There's a lot of resources on the CoHO BC website about co-ownership. And Wilmer is here and Kathy is here to get you set up in a housing that's right for you as well. So thank you all for joining today. If there's any last questions, we'll be on the line for another moment or two. And then we hope to see you at one of our future events.
Thank you.
Have a
Noam.
good night.
Thank you, Noam, for your time.
Thank you so much, Wilmer. Thank you, thank you. Yeah, no, that was great. It was a good overview of what you can do on the lots, and again, using Urban Village as a model was, I mean, it's a great model because you've integrated all three of I think what's most important in housing: the sustainability, the affordability, and the community, and to the best of your ability. You can't do any of them perfectly, particularly the affordability side. But it's great to see how you've worked so hard to integrate all those pieces. So thank you for your work. Thank you for your time today. And we will talk again soon.